Good afternoon, sir. Shall we start? Samir, sir, can you hear me?
Yes. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. It's clear,
Okay.
sir.
Sure, sure.
Good afternoon to all. On behalf of IOT Academy, I welcome you all to the first session of National Level FTP on the Art of Research. Let me introduce the resource person of today's session, Dr. Samir Bhube. At present, he is working with Acropolis Institute of Management Studies and Research, Indore, as an associate professor. Dr. Samir is a postgraduate in Commerce and Management from Devi Ahilya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. He is having 17 years academic and 4 years of corporate experience. He has worked for Vardhaman Politics, Ludhiana, Indore Institute of Management and Research, and IPS Academy, Indore. He is having more than 30 national and international publications in research journals and conference proceedings. Dr. Dubey is a member of Madhya Pradesh Economic Association and Research Foundation of India. He has been training faculties for managing virtual classes and preparation of video lectures as well. He has also been invited as a speaker by UGC Human Resource Development Center for delivering sessions on ICT tools and research methodology. With this, I hand over the session to Dr. Samir Dubey. Sir, please. Sir, you are in mute. I think you are in mute. We can't hear you, sir.
So, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank IoT Academy for granting me this opportunity for taking this lecture. And this is the first lecture with which we are starting our faculty development program on the art of research. So, for my presentation, I would like to share and sharing this presentation of mine. I believe that now the lecture is or the PPT is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
I hope you won't mind if I switch off the camera because it will be like saving a lot of space and that speed as well. It will arrange the speed as well.
It's okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank
Fine.
you. So there we are. Our first lecture, we are starting with the basics of research. And the very first thing, actually, what we should discuss before going for research is about there are certain important questions that we need to answer before deciding for our research project. There could be different kind of research projects like in PhD as well we do have, in MPhil we do have. There could be other different kind of research projects like the one in post graduation as well. So in any of the research, what we should do is first we should answer these certain questions. The first one is why are we doing the research? And there could be different answers to this. It may be because of our interest, and if whatever the topic or whatever the research project we have selected, we should have interest in this research. Definitely there would be different people who would be suggesting us different topics, and ultimately it happens that we need to select the topic or we need to select the project which generally is being feasible, is very feasible, and that's why we used to select it. But until and unless the topic is of our interest, we should not select the topic and we should not take up that kind of research. The second thing is whatever the issues involved in the topic or in the research project, what are our own opinion about it? Whether there are whether we do have our own opinion about it or not, some or other kind of opinion. That is actually a must. The second one is, who are the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries could be like who will be going to publish the research, public at large, whether somebody, whether a specific community or a group of people, whether they are going to get benefited out of the research, or whether any organization is interested into the research. So this also is a very big question, because if nobody is the beneficiary of our research, or the research will only be after completion of the research, if it is only being placed in an almirah and we get our degree and we do not continue the research on the very same topic or the very same area in which we have conducted our first research, it is really very difficult for us. Or what I feel is that this kind of research is not of very much value for us. Then the third question is, what are the major issues to be addressed? Whether there is any debate in the either in the media or in any kind of any kind of in any kind of media also, whether there is any kind of debate, whether there is any kind of discussion, and what exactly are the range of viewpoints of the experts, of the people, that also should decide whether we should take the topic or we should take the research area or not. So what are the major issues to be addressed? Those issues, they should have been incorporated in the viewpoints of the people who are either debating on the very same topic or are discussing the same kind of in the very same area. Then there comes, where is the usage of research? The usage of research could be local usage. It means whether it is whether the research is being used or shall be used only within the district, or on the state level, or national level, or international level. Where is the usage of the research, whatever we are undertaking? Another thing which is important for taking up the topic or starting the research is that whether our research is going to affect that specific level or not. If we are conducting a research on a local level, then the research work should be submitted to such an authority, or to such a person, or to such an organization where they can use the research properly. So the usage of research, it can be local, national, or international level. Then when is the research relevant? More specifically, the time frame or the time range in which the research is relevant or not. So when is the research relevant? What is the time frame of the research? So until and unless the time frame, because what happens at different points of time, I have seen that certain people used to take secondary data in their research, and what they do is they used to take data which is obsolete sometimes. Like you are taking up data which may be current while taking the topic, but it generally gets old with the passage of time. So the time frame, the time range, it is also very important. So when the research is relevant or not, whether the research is relevant in the time frame or not. And there comes the research process. So how to conduct the research will definitely, we shall be covering it under the research process. So how to conduct the research? So these are basically the questions which I feel that should be answered first before we take up any research project. Until and unless we answer all these questions, we should not take up that specific research project, and we should try to change either the topic or the theme or the subject on which we are taking up the research. Then there comes who exactly are the stakeholders for research, and what exactly they are getting. Whether the stakeholders are getting what exactly they are looking for in the research, or whatever their stake is in the research. So the very first stakeholder for research in our research project is the researcher himself or herself. And what is on stake for the researcher is the very first thing in general for which we used to go through the research is the award of degree. There could be certain researchers who are doing the research for the purpose of money, for earning the money. Then there are people who need to do the research for the purpose of promotion. And ultimately, there are certain researches which people use to do for their peace of mind. So the very first thing that the researcher must achieve is, if he or she is conducting the research for the sake of degree or money or promotion, whether he or she is going to get it or not. And if the research is being done for solely for the purpose of peace of mind, so the research actually brings peace of mind for the researcher. For the purpose of for the supervisor, the stake is on social and professional status. We generally used to discuss about the number of research projects awarded under one's guidance, his or her guidance. So definitely it increases the social and professional status of the guide, of the supervisors, co-supervisors. Definitely it also, if the supervisor is also doing a research project for the sake of money. For the sake of money is definitely my meaning of saying money over here in the for the researcher and for the supervisor as well, are the projects in which are being conducted only for the purpose of money. Definitely we shall be discussing a little bit about the funded, non-funded projects. So the funds that are being provided by some or the other organization for the purpose of doing a specific research, so the money that is being given to either researcher or the supervisor, that is once again is on stake. And ultimately, definitely for the supervisor as well, I believe a lot of you people are already taking care of some research scholars. So finally, when a research is awarded, I believe you people can also feel a lot of peace in your mind. So peace of mind once again is for the supervisor as well. The third one stakeholder for the researcher for the research is the organization, and the organization which is the stakeholder for the research is the one which is allotting some kind of project. Who is funding the organization which is funding the research project is has been considered over here as an organization. So the organization used to get some kind of esteem. It used to get certain kind of like fame. It gets it if it is a research organization. So definitely depending upon what kind of research work you people are or the organization is conducting, they used to get grants, and understanding of different kind of phenomena as well are definitely the stakes for a specific organization. Then there are readers. Research is being published, and after publication there are a lot of people who used to read the research. And for readers, what is important or what is stake in the research is first of all the knowledge. So this is, I believe, everybody knows that while we are drafting our research project, while we are writing down the research project, we used to, or the synopsis itself, we used to write that this project will add to the body of knowledge. Until and unless a research is add to the body of knowledge, it is not known as a research. So knowledge is the first thing that a reader used to get out of the research. Then there comes solution of the problem. There are lots of research which used to which actually extend certain kind of theories, which give solutions to different kind of problems, which discuss different types of phenomena, and hence the readers also get the solution to certain problems. It depends upon whether what kind of problems they are facing. So research is definitely important for the readers as well. And ultimately the reader will also get the peace of mind while he or she will be getting the solution to their problem, as well as they are increasing their knowledge. Then there comes the next stakeholder as government. So depending upon the government used to get feedback on their policies. Either it is a state government or local municipal corporation or local government, or the government or the central government. They used to get their feedback on different policies. They used to get opinion of the public. They used to get different kind of suggestions on what different policies are and what are the improvements in policies are required. So the government is also that kind of stakeholder in the research and is interested in the research. Then Nowadays, there are certain since this is the era of social media marketing and all, and lots of people are over there in Instagram and Facebook and this and that. So there are influencers, and what exactly do they make? What they do is making the trend. So stakeholders are also interested in research, because what they do is there are definitely there are certain kinds of research in which they might be interested in, and that would definitely be certain kind of behavioral researches also. But definitely influencers, if they also get a uh, good outcome out of certain research, then definitely they also used to make trends. So for the purpose of making trends as well, influencers are also the stakeholders for research. Then there comes general public. The stake for general public is improved decisions. I believe a lot of us have seen different researches on on buying behavior decisions, on financing decisions, on like investment decisions also. People are sharing their views, people are sharing their experiences, their perceptions on different kind of investments, different kind of financial and behavioral activities. So improved decision making is what general public used to get if it is interested in research, and the research can be published in or the research can be understood by them in their own way, in their own language. So improved decisions is the first thing. Then modified behavior. General public used to modify their behavior depending upon a research. Previously what they were spending, previously what they were investing into, previously how they were behaving. I believe a lot of people would definitely agree on the thing that after reading some 2-3 books, the review of certain 2-3 books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, these kind of books, lot of people have started investing, lot of people have started saving money in some different ways. So for general public, their improved decisions, modified behavior, and modification in the ways of living. Some of the people out of research only, they used to get certain new information and they increase their standard of living. Certain people may go into the economy of the resources, and they also improve or modify their ways of living. Living with the nature, living with the ecology, or living with the nature is also once again a modification in the ways of living after getting influence from the research. So these are different stakeholders for research. We should definitely be aware that for which stakeholder we are working for. Our research project is addressing to which of the stakeholder, and whether we are able to give proper value to that stakeholder or not. So these are certain things which I feel that must be discussed or must be thought for before going for the research project. Then there comes what exactly is the meaning of research. So for the purpose of meaning of research, I would like people to either unmute or write down in the chat box. I'm giving some 2-3 different situations. What do you think, which of the condition out of these 2-3 conditions is shall be known as a research or not, or shall be known as a research? The conditions are like, the first one is somebody has prepared a paper on computer usage in secondary schools after reviewing literature on the subject available in his university library. The second condition is someone has researched and completed a document which gives information about the age of his students, their results, their parents' income, and distance of their schools from the district office. And the third one is someone is participated in a workshop on curriculum development and prepared what he calls a report on the curriculum for engineers. May I please request the participants to just write down in the chat box the number first, second, or third, which one should be considered as a research. Okay, second one should be considered as research. I have got certain raised hands. If somebody wants to unmute himself or herself, they can answer as well. Anyone?
Yeah, it is true, sir.
Yeah, it is 2. Okay. So, okay. So rather than 2, it is actually the first one, which is after reviewing the literature on the subject available, a paper has been prepared. In the second one is basically, it is a collection of data about the age of students, their results, their parents' income and distance. So this is basically only a report, and the first one shall be considered as the research. The third one is definitely a curriculum development and prepared a report on a curriculum for engineers only. So that won't be a research once again. Okay, now is it clear to everyone now?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now let us consider the next one. So the meaning of research is actually research refers to the knowledge, and it is a movement from known to the unknown. Whatever we already know, we do not too much look into it. We used to look into it only for the reference so that we can know something which is unknown to us till date. So it is journey from known to unknown. Then it is a voyage of discovery. It is a scientific and systematic approach for gaining pertinent information on a specific topic, and the research is an art of scientific investigation. So this was all about the meaning of research. Then there are different types of research: descriptive and analytical research, applied and fundamental research, quantitative and qualitative research, and there are certain other different types of research as well. Actually, what happens is that different writers at different places have mentioned different kinds of research. This bifurcation can means you can find different bifurcation in the very same in different books as well, because what I have done is I have tried to collect the bifurcation from different books. However, there are chances that this is definitely this is not an all-inclusive list. So there are chances that in certain or that certain kind of bifurcations or certain kind of or types of research are left from me. So this is once again a type of research. So the descriptive and analytical research. Descriptive research, it includes surveys and fact-finding queries of different kinds. The major purpose of descriptive research is description of the state of affairs. Whatever a phenomena is going on, or whatever the phenomena has occurred already, it only describes, the researcher only describes the phenomena. So that is what is known as a descriptive research. Then the analytical research is also like descriptive is also known as ex post facto research for like descriptive research studies. And the main characteristics of descriptive research method is there is no control over the variable. Like since the phenomena has already happened. So sorry for the small disturbance. Okay. So this is about the descriptive research that we have already discussed. In analytical research, what happens is the researchers has to use different kind of facts. The researcher uses different information that are already available and analyze these information, these data, these facts to make a critical evaluation of whatever the available material is, whatever the situation is. Similarly, in applied and fundamental research as well, The applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem. Whether the problem is being faced by the society or an industry or a business organization or whatever it is. But applied research aims at finding the immediate solution to the problem. However, on the other hand, fundamental research is basically concerned with generalization and with the formulation of a theory, development of a theory, formulation of a theory. So, fundamental research is certain kind of basic research. It is a pure research. People used to say gathering knowledge for knowledge's sake. That is what is known as fundamental research. Then qualitative and quantitative research. The quantitative research is based on measurement of quantity or amount. It is applicable to the phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity only. Quantitative research, qualitative research is concerned more on the qualitative phenomena, whether they are related to like involving quality or kind. For instance, like we are interested in investigating the reasons for human behavior or specific certain kind of behavior. We quite often talk of motivational research. That is also qualitative research. The motives, desires, in-depth interviews are being conducted in qualitative research. So these are known as the qualitative research. There are other research. Researches as well. So, like one-time and longitudinal research. One-time research is the research which is being conducted in a specific time frame. However, the longitudinal research is the research which is being conducted in a very long time duration. That is called longitudinal. Then field and laboratory simulation, field and laboratory or simulation. Field research is the research in which the researcher used to go in the field, collect different data, and it is definitely for a very long time. It takes a long time duration. However, in laboratory or simulation research, the researcher controls on all the parameters, and the research is being conducted within a specific laboratory or under the simulated conditions. Then there comes the last one, that is exploratory and historical research. So the exploratory research is something which is you are exploring something new, and historical research is when you are once again visiting the historical data, historical facts and figures. That is called historical research. Then there are two different basically types of research approaches: quantitative approach and qualitative approach. Quantitative approach and qualitative approach. So the quantitative approach involves like the generation of data in quantitative form, which can be subject to different kind of analysis in a formal and rigid fashion. The approach can further be subdivided, as you can see, into inferential, experimental and simulation approaches for the researcher. The purpose of inferential research is to form a database from which to infer characteristics or relationships of population. That is called inferential research. It is basically to determine the characteristics of certain kind of population or certain sample. Then experimental research is characterized by much greater control over the research environment, and like in experimental research, the construction of an artificial environment within a specific relevant information, for the purpose of specific relevant information, data can be generated, and this experimental research permits observations of the dynamic behavior of a system under controlled conditions. So these are definitely once again different types of researches that we used to undertake. Then qualitative research is the research once again that we have already discussed about the qualitative approach. In the qualitative approach, what we do is we used to this qualitative research is more concerned with subjective assessment. opinions, attitudes, behavior, mood swings. So it is basically a function of researchers' insights and impressions. Such an approach to research generates results either in non-quantitative form or in the form which are not subjected to rigorous quantitative analysis. You cannot do very rigorous quantitative analysis on the basis of the data collected under qualitative approach. So these are two different approaches for research, quantitative approach and qualitative approach. Then there are different characteristics of good research. Good research is systematic, it should be logical, it must be empirical, it should be replicable in the nature. If a research is not replicable in the nature, it cannot be considered as a good research, and then it can accept critical assumptions. This is basically good research. And there comes the process of research. So the very first thing that we do is to identify the research problem. And the research problem, in identification of research problem, the professional experience, it helps us, more specifically the people who have already been working as professionals in their field. So their professional experience, there could be certain burning, very immediate questions which are floating in the environment. So those kind of burning questions can be taken. Literature can be referred to for research problem. Then professional meetings and discussions can also be referred to for the purpose of getting a research data, for the purpose of getting a proper research problem. There comes the elements of a good title. So I have bifurcated, or I have made a table on two different, like it is a good title and poor title. The length of good title is somewhere between 10 to 15 words or 31 to 40 characters. Once again, these good and poor title, all these elements have been worked upon, and this is not an all-inclusive list. I have seen different topics, I have seen different research work with topics which are having more than 10 to 15 words as well, which are having more than 10 to 15 words, and they are also being published in different Scopus Index journals and ABDC A and A star category journals. So length actually does not matter, but it should be sufficient. There should not be extra words used in the title. Hence, it has been observed that 10 to 15 words are sufficient for explaining a good title. Poor title could be longer than 15 words, then there should be commas, colons or semicolons can be used. Question mark and exclamation point should not be used. If it is used, then it shall be a poor title. Then keywords should definitely be used. However, abbreviations, jargons, humor, and geographic location should not be used. Once again, geographical locations, if somebody is conducting certain kind of research on geographical location only, for a specific geographical location, if there is a specific if there are specific conditions to a specific geographical location, and somebody is conducting a research on that specific geographical location with respect to those specific conditions only, in that case definitely the person can include the geographical location. Otherwise, the researcher on geography, they can include geographical locations in their research projects. Then grammar and spelling should be correct, journal guidelines should be followed, and the topic should clearly state the point of the article. So these are the elements of a good title which one should take care of. Then the second thing that we used to go for is review of literature. In general, we used to divide our literature into three different parts: primary, secondary, and tertiary literature. The tertiary literature, which is readily and easily available in all kinds of like textbooks, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and handbooks. This kind of literature should be avoided as much as possible. However, maximum literature which should be referred to, it should be like primary literature, and this secondary literature can also be referred to. But in secondary literature, as I have given you the examples, there are like literature review articles and books. So already review articles or books should be avoided. But if you are getting certain kind of references from the books or literature review articles, it can be used. Most of the time we should use primary literature. Then there comes preparation of the research design. So while preparing the research design, we should take care, because we have three different types of research design: exploratory, descriptive and diagnostic, and experimental or hypothesis testing design. So there are three different types of research designs. Okay, so basically, in case of exploratory research design, which is also known as the formulative research studies, the main purpose of the research under exploratory research design or exploratory research studies is for the purpose of formulation of a problem, or for the purpose of exploring something new. So the research design for the purpose of exploratory researches, it should be most flexible, as much flexible as possible. That kind of research design should be selected for the purpose of exploratory researches, because when we are exploring something new, we do not even know what kind of information we require, what tool we need. So depending upon the immediate collection of data, depending upon the immediate analysis of the data, we use to apply different tools with the progress of the research. So this is the reason why it should be most flexible research design. If you are getting some information from certain kind of questionnaires while meeting certain people, then definitely questionnaires can also be included. If there is possible that certain data, we used to get certain data from some kind of reports, then that secondary data shall also be used. So the design should be very flexible for exploratory researches. Then descriptive and diagnostic researches are basically some rigidness used to arise in descriptive and diagnostic research studies, because descriptive research studies are basically those studies which are more concerned with describing the characteristics of a particular individual or a group of people or a specific phenomena, whatever has happened in that phenomena. So describing the characteristics, describing whatever has happened, whatever has occurred, that basically is the nature of descriptive research. So however, when we discuss about the diagnostic research studies, the diagnostic research studies are concerned with certain kind of scientific predictions, narration of certain facts, characteristics concerning an individual. Definitely are examples. Definitely these are also the example of this diagnostic research. If you are diagnosing or if you are analyzing the attitudes or a specific behavior of a group or an individual, the characteristics of a particular individual or a group, then definitely it is a diagnostic research study. If the researcher is only describing the characteristics of a particular person or association or group of persons, then definitely it will be a descriptive kind of research. If we discuss about the research design in case of hypothesis testing research studies, then basically hypothesis testing research studies are those where the researcher tests the hypothesis of causal relationships between the variables. So there are variables which are independent in nature, there are variables dependent in nature. Independent variables which cannot be controlled by the researcher, and dependent variable are basically the resultant variables, or we call them resultant variables as well, but dependent variables are the variables which actually showcase the effect of independent variable on them. So these kind of studies actually require procedure which will not only reduce the biasness, but the process should be in such a way, it should be designed in such a way that it increases the reliability. The causal relationship, whether it shall be affirmed or it should be rejected, or it will be rejected depending upon whatever data we use to collect, whatever the relationship is being established. But definitely the research design should be such that it permits drawing references about the causality, whether we are going to affect, whether we are going to confirm the causality or we are going to reject the causality. More specifically, the experimental researches require these kind of settings. So this is basically the research design in which we use to test a different kind of hypothesis. Then determination of the sample design. So we have two different types of sample designs: probabilistic sampling and non-probabilistic sampling. Probabilistic sampling, in which we have a simple random sampling and complex random sampling. In non-probabilistic sampling, these are basically these are convenience kind of sampling, that convenience of the researcher, whatever he or she find okay, he or she can go for the research. So that kind of he or she can go for collecting information from that sample only. So this kind of researches are known as non-probabilistic sampling. Then the next step in our research conduction of the research is collection of data. We used to call it the execution of project. Definitely data are of two different types: primary data and secondary data. The primary data can be collected with the help of interviews, questionnaires. We all are making different types of questionnaires every now and then. Then we make schedules. Very small difference between questionnaire and schedule. That schedule is being filled up by the collector of the information. Like the researcher may be the collector of the information, or an agent on behalf of the researcher used to collect the information. So there is difference, very small difference between questionnaire and schedule. And observation is means the least used method nowadays. In earlier researches, observation was also one of the important methods for collecting primary data. Nowadays, observation is very rarely used for collection of primary data. In secondary data, we used to collect the data from reports, records, websites, published researches of other researchers. Then we used to analyze the data. So there are different, like when we collect the data, we used to edit the data or refine the data. Definitely we would have got certain biased answers, or the respondents have behaved in a different way. So some of the answers might be missing. Some of the answers might be like there are certain people who used to just for the sake of becoming part of the research project, they can sometimes exaggerate the answers or so. So we need to edit and refine the data. Then we used to code the data, then classification of the data under different heads, and then making the tables. Then we used to do hypothesis testing depending upon what kind of test we are conducting. We have to, depending upon what kind of research we are conducting, whether it is a qualitative research or quantitative research. Even if it is a qualitative research, we can convert it into a quantitative research, and quantitative tests, or we call them parametric tests. These parametric tests could be applied on them. So students T test, F test, which is the analysis of variance or ANOVA, and Z test, which is once again very much similar to T test. These kind of tests are applied. On the basis of the result that we get out of these tests, the result we find the result in the form of a p-value, and if that p-value is less than 0.05, what we do is we used to reject the hypothesis. If we get the value higher than 0.05, in that case we shall accept the hypothesis. So these are the tests. There are non-parametric tests as well, which are like the chi-square, Wilcoxon, Mann-Whitney U-test, and Krustal-Wallis test. So tests are like these two, parametric and non-parametric tests. Parametric tests are more reliable as compared to non-parametric tests, because non-parametric tests used to give different kind of results if the data set is being changed. If different samples are being collected from the very same population, the result will be different if we apply non-parametric tests. However, in parametric tests, we will get the very same result every time. So now there are examples of good and bad hypothesis. like the bad hypothesis would be plants will grow better when given miracle grow, some certain kind of manure or certain kind of like certain kind of manure or so, or some certain kind of pesticide or so. So the plants will grow taller when given miracle grow. In the second hypothesis, once again, girls are smarter than boys. This is a bad hypothesis. While girls will score higher, what happens is you can see that in the bad examples of hypothesis, you can see that the parameters are not described properly. However, they must have been described properly. And when you describe them properly, it becomes a good hypothesis, a testable hypothesis, which can be tested upon. Then there are examples of cause and effect relationships, like heat will cause metal to expand. So heat is the cause and the expansion is the effect. So we can calculate how much the metal has been expanded and what amount of heat has been, what amount of heat was given to the metal. So these kind of different hypotheses are known as cause and effect or causal relationships between independent and dependent variable. I believe you people can understand that the cause is independent variable and the effect is dependent variable. So this is a relationship between dependent and independent variable. Then in almost in the last there comes generalization and report preparation. So generalization and interpretation. Generalization, if you are making a theory, interpretation of the results, and then reporting as per the format. There are different questions about this. How should we write down the report? So the report should be as per the format, whatever your funding agency is, for whatever whoever be the submitting or ultimately submitting organization. If you are submitting your report to the university, it is a PhD research, then definitely the format of that particular university need to be followed. Depending upon which organization you are submitting the report, they would definitely supply you with a format, so you have to follow that format only. Then here we used to close our research process. Then there are different problems encountered by the researchers in India. So the researchers used to encounter different type of problems in India. These problems are, the very first problem is the lack of scientific training, more specifically in the methodology sector of the research. And nowadays, for the last 2-3 years, definitely vast change has been done. This pandemic has done miracles to, more specifically, the dissemination of knowledge among the researchers, among the research scholars, because now a person sitting, earlier the person sitting in Delhi was not able to get certain kind of information from Chennai or from Bangalore or from any other part of the country. Nowadays, every researcher, every research scholar, every person who is conducting any kind of research can get information not only from any part of the country but from outside as well. So this has very much being like addressed, but definitely once again colleges are not very much, lots of colleges which are not very much keen in resolving these issues. So this scientific training, lack of scientific training is still one of the issues. Then insufficient interaction between the industry and academia or university research departments can also be one of the issues. Industries, they do not give their feedback to the universities for development of curriculum, and in general not all universities, including state universities as well, where it is very difficult and hard to change the curriculum, they also do not change their curriculum in such a way that so that to incorporate the input from the industry. Then once again, then there is another issue of confidence, reliability on whatever the work is being conducted within the universities or the educational institutions. The reliability of that work is very low, and hence business or industry also do not have confidence or have faith on the material supplied on the research work supplied to them, as well as the researchers also do not very much rely on the material supplied by the industry, what kind of material they are supplying. So these are basically the different problems which are being faced by the researchers. Still, we do not have a code of conduct. We do not have any kind of inter-university, interdepartmental, uh, means collaborations. More specifically, I should use the word collaboration. We do not have quite a lot inter-university, interdepartmental collaborations for generating different kind of research, different kind of material, which, however, the people outside India are really working on. Funding definitely, once again, is a major problem in front of our researchers. So a little bit about I have tried to address a little bit about the funding problem of the researchers. So there are funding opportunities for researchers available from different parts. The very first one part is the departments under different ministries. Like there is Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science, Department of Atomic Energy. All these departments used to give grants for people, not only for their scientific research, but for the general social science research as well. So these different departments under different ministries, they used to provide funds. They used to call different research projects, and they also provide funds to the researchers. And University Grants Commission, over the last few years, I believe that UGC has not issued any grant for research. But otherwise, earlier UGC was like in minor research project and major research projects. UGC has granted many such research projects. AICT is once again one of the organizations which used to call upon different for research, for innovation. They are doing phenomenally very good, and they are calling faculties as well for innovations, for patents, for copyrights, and all these things. There is a big challenge. There is a big opportunity for a lot of people, big opportunity for a lot of researchers, lot of faculty to work in that specific direction. ICSSR, as in general, most of the people know about this ICSSR. They used to provide uh, short-term grants. They used to provide long-term grants. They used to provide like postdoctoral fellowships. They used to provide senior fellowships. So all these kind of fellowships they used to provide. Definitely, there are certain prerequisites, like you should have been a first divisioner throughout the career, and certain new things should have been discovered. Then there are private universities as well, private organizations which are providing grants, which are providing money for more specifically for innovation, but they are also providing research grants for the purpose of social science researchers as well. So private universities are doing good. Then there are non-government organizations. I can name one. It is Azim Premji Foundation. We do have here in Madhya Pradesh, in Bhopal, we do have a branch of Azim Premji Foundation. They also call for researchers, and they also used to provide certain kind of research grants. So the research grants are readily available, are very easily, not, I won't say easily, but definitely there are research grants available from different departments of the ministry, not only the central government, but from the ministries of state governments as well. Here in Madhya Pradesh, government has already established a new department in the name of Anand Department, the Department of Happiness. And this Department of Happiness used to provide research projects to the people. How can we make students happy? How can we make housewives happy? How can we make businessmen happy? So there is a different Department of Happiness, and they are providing research grants. They want to devise the ways in which people can be felt good, people can be kept happy. So these kind of different government organizations, private universities, non-government organizations, everybody is providing one or other type of research grant for the researchers. So with this, I stop my voice, and if somebody is having any kind of questions, queries, I shall be happy to answer.
The session is open for discussion. You can post your questions in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and directly interact with the resource person.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about minor research proposal. So we have done the PhD proposals and PhD research projects. I would like to do some minor research proposals.
Okay, minor research proposals, like one of the organization which is very means one can say humble in providing minor research projects is ICSSR only. They used to provide an amount of 5 lakh rupees for a time duration of 1 year. Yeah, for the purpose, for the time duration of 1 year. Within 1 year, you have to complete the research project, and it should be submitted within next 1 or 2 months. So they generally used to provide you somewhere between 10 months to 12 months for the research project for conducting the research, and they used to one a very good thing is after allotment of the research, what happens is they ask you when shall you be starting the research project, when will you actually conduct the research, and once you give them a time specifically that we shall be conducting the research or we shall be starting implementing our actual research from this date, they used to calculate in general their 10-12 months from that date only. They used to provide grant in for minor researches. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Sir, any areas?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, what is justification of research means justification concept?
Justification concept.
Yes.
Like justification concept means research should be justifiable.
But
Whatever.
which point, sir? Which point important point in justification? Some explanation, a practical example, please.
Justification means exactly speaking, it is a difficult thing to understand the question first. That justification concept of the research. So, if you can elaborate a little bit on what exactly you are requiring.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Because like justification is justification of the research, or you can say rationale of the research, or the reason for which the research is being conducted. That should be met with. That is the justification concept.
Yes, Ms. Sujata ma'am, do you have any questions?
Sir, can you give me examples of minor research where I can do?
Minor research from?
Minor research
Yeah.
areas.
Areas.
Yeah.
Well, like entrepreneurship is one of the areas in which ICSSR used to provide minor research projects. Then, depending upon what actually we require while applying for the minor research project is what exactly is the government looking for. Like before last year, one of my colleagues, she has applied for a minor research project in the ICSSR, and since just before COVID, and at that time, since everybody was talking about tourism development, India should increase its tourist spots and this and that, all everything was something about new tourism policy and so. So what happens is that they prepared a research project, a minor research project on let me recall exactly the topic. it was like exploration of new entrepreneurial opportunities in tourism development. Yes. What are the entrepreneurial opportunities available for tourism development in a specific area? So that was their topic. So the thing which will depend upon means how to take up the research project is, first you need to understand what exactly the government is doing, what are the government policies, where the government is heading to. If out of these, just like this, at present we are in the era of implementation of new education policy. So what exactly is the difference between, or what exactly are the problems that we are facing in the new education policy? With the help of new education policy, government want more entrepreneurs to come up, startups and all these things. So entrepreneurial aptitude, whether entrepreneurial aptitude is available or can be developed in school students or not. So these kind of things you can work upon. And since everybody they are doing about skill development, so the skill development, once again, what exactly is the impact of skill development on the behavior of a person or on his or her entrepreneurial aptitude? These kind of topics, or these, if in this direction you will find out, or if you frame certain topics, then definitely I believe there are chances that it will get selected as well.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any others? Sir, I think we have covered enough questions. Shall we wind up the session, sir?
Sure.
On behalf of IOT Academy, I thank Dr. Samir for the clear and informative session on this topic today. And your talk seemed to provide much needed help for all of us, sir. Thanks again for a wonderful presentation. I thank all the participants for joining us today. Kindly submit the feedback form that has been posted in the chat box. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. So, should I leave now?
Yeah, sir, you can leave the session.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.